It is not a problem if you interview the tire store that you carry your stuff to. Ask them how they do it, how they balance them, how they install them. Let them know how particular you might be about your product. Because let me show you something real quick here. Look right here, guys. This is how they took a $25 trim ring and notched it out so that this wheel weight would go on right here. Now, had it been an experienced guy, he could have static balanced it and just put weights just on the back side. So what they did here was ruin this trim ring on a nice car by notching it out like that. So it's not that much trouble to ask your local tire store that's doing your work for you to only put weights on the back side.
Now, if you're planning on reusing your original tubes and they're in good shape, this is where you're super careful not to tear the tube or pinch the tube as it's coming out. Get your valve stem out of the way so your tube can move a little bit freely. Use protective boots over your tire irons and be very careful when you're removing the tire not to tear the tube. It could save you some money if you're trying to reuse your original tubes. Once you get the tube removed, it's time to put the new one on.
Now, when you're mounting your tube type tires at home, it's very important not to pinch the tube. Lay the tube out and let it kind of get warmed up a little bit out of the package is how I do it. So make sure it's a proper size before you start to install it. The most important thing is the valve stem. Now, if you order some of these antique tires, Coker Tire and some of the other companies will send you a TR15 stem or a TR150. The 150 is really long. The 15 is shorter, but what it is, it's a fat stem. If you have some of these 16-inch wheels that they also sell, it comes in for a TR13 stem, which is a smaller diameter, just like the one that I'm using here. Now, these aren't very common. The ones that are common are the farm tubes that are a TR15. So remember, if you get a TR15, you're gonna have to drill your wheels to accommodate the fatness of the stem. A TR13 stem will be like most of your passenger car classic aftermarket wheels. So remember, check your stems. All right, so let's get this thing in and quit over talking it. Now, the tube is laid down where the valve stem is up because the valve stem hole is up. If you try to mount it like that, then what it's gonna do is gonna try to pull this stem up, and when the tire starts to air up, it's gonna pinch right here, and you're gonna have a hole in it. You don't want a hole in it. So, put your valve stem up. And it's also nice to have something to chase this valve stem. It'd be a little chain and a little valve stem cap that you would put on here. And you would put the tube in and then pull the valve stem through the hole, grab it with some pliers, or hold on to that chain until you're ready to air it up. That way it won't suck back in. I'm over talking it. All right, now there is no secret to getting the tube stuck in here. It's not easy. You just kind of have to get the valve stem lined up so you don't have to chase it around later. Push the tube in, but we want to try to keep it just like it's laid on top here. We don't want it folded up inside the tire. If it's folded up inside the tire, you start putting air in it, and it's gonna want to pinch on you, and that's not good. So fold this thing in half a little bit, stuff it in there, and when you get it in there, open it back up. What's even harder than this is doing it on the side of the road. All right, so there we are. We're stuffed all in except for this last little part. I'm gonna put this in. try to hang on to it. It's not going to run anywhere, unfortunately. It's in there pretty tight. Work it down and get it up through the valve stem hole. What I usually do is very lightly grab a hold of that stem. Don't do it heavy because you're going to bend the metal part inside that stem. Now go back around and make sure that your tube is laying flat in there and it's not going to get pinched. This little step right here might save you a $25 tube. All right, now we want to get the top bead on. Now you can do this by walking it on by hand, or you can do it with a machine. Now you know me, I like trying to get as much done by hand as I can. I'm going to take some slimy stuff so that it'll seat properly. I need something to pry against. Let me put my protective boot on my tire iron. I'll set that up right there, and I'm going to use this to walk the tire around. All right, now that the tire's on, we just lost that. We don't want to lose that. Before we put air in it, we want to stand it up and make sure that the tube is not pinched on the other side of the bead. Now here's what we're looking for. We're looking for the tube sticking out right here. We don't want to see any tube anywhere. Rotate the wheel with the tire. You don't want to twist it up in there. So right now, the valve stem is straight. The tube is in its proper location in the drop center portion of the wheel. And it's running flat against the sidewall. So now I think we're ready to take the stem off, give it a little bit of air. These are not lightweight. It's not the way you want to start a morning. All right, so the tire machine may be leaking a little bit of air, so it may be bleeding out into the microphone, but here we go again. This is the 616 for the front, which takes a GR-KR16 tube. Once again, TR13 valve stem so that you don't have to re-drill your fancy wheels. All right, it's ready to bounce. And it bounced to 0. All of them are done, and they're ready to go for a hot rod ride. Let's go. You can do it. You buy your wheels and tires online, mount them yourself, get some balance beads off of Amazon, pour it in there, and you'll never have to go to the tire store again. Shot myself in the foot because I was in the tire business for 25 years, so I might know what I'm talking about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Now get out in the garage and go build something. See you guys in the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe.